Harry's list of demands?
So we've got 3 things on this wish list, supposedly, that would precipitate a possible reunion with King Charles. The first thing would...
Prince Harry didn't leave Clarence's house smiling. He didn't leave humbled. He left empty-handed. And that's the contradiction nobody saw coming. Because for all the glossy headlines about reconciliation, the pictures told a very different story. Harry's clenched jaw, the rain-streaked window, that thundercloud glare. It looked less like a son reunited with his father and more like a man denied a refund at customer service. Reports say the entire visit clocked in at just 55 minutes. But insiders noted nearly half of that was routine security checks, which means the actual face-to-face with King Charles lasted barely 20 minutes. Just enough time for a few polite nods, a lukewarm cup of Earl Grey, and, according to commentators, a royal brick wall. So the real question is this: why was Harry even there?
And Harry, we know that this has been a core issue for Harry in terms of not only his relationship with the royal family, but anytime he's come to the UK, of course, he had that court battle that he lost with the Home Office over...
Observers speculated this wasn't just about tea and pleasantries. Harry's real agenda may have included requests for funding, clarifications about his children's titles, and even desperate conversations about spiraling court costs. But according to insiders, Charles delivered the royal equivalent of thoughts and prayers. And the look on Harry's face as he left Clarence's house screamed, "Denied application." Then it got more awkward. Reports suggested Camilla was in the room too. Yes, the same Camilla Harry branded in Spare as dangerous and manipulative. Imagine sitting across from the woman you publicly torched while simultaneously asking her husband for concessions. Fans joked the scene looked less like a tea party and more like a courtroom drama. Camilla sipping Earl Grey like a silent judge as Harry pleaded his case. The body language photos only added fuel. One viral meme compared Harry's departure to a contestant storming off The Apprentice after being told, "You're fired." Another fan tweeted, "He walked in like a prince. Walked out like a man Googling Uber fares." And yet, mainstream outlets tried to spin the encounter as a hopeful reconciliation. That's the contradiction driving the buzz. Official narratives of peace versus the unmistakable optics of rejection. And for Harry, the timing couldn't have been worse.
Wants that to be reinstated. I mean, I think at this point it would have to be just paid for by the king personally, because there would be no way for them to reinstate it through the, I guess, the sovereign grant or anything. It would have to come from Charles.
He was scheduled to attend an Invictus Games reception almost immediately afterward, forced to plaster on a public smile while the internet replayed his storm cloud exit shot on loop. Commentators speculated that Meghan, thousands of miles away in Montecito, was already preparing her cross-examination. Did you get the money? Did Charles agree to security? Did he apologize to me? Fans joked Harry was rehearsing excuses in the back of the cab, fully aware that none of the answers would pass her test. But insiders warned the real fallout wouldn't show up in photographs. It would leak out in glossy exclusives, carefully curated People magazine spreads, and Netflix-friendly soundbites about tears and healing. What looked like a royal cold shoulder to the public would inevitably be reframed as a step toward reconciliation in the Sussex PR machine. The problem? The internet had already made up its mind. The moment those photos hit the wires, ridicule drowned out sympathy. One viral shot of Harry slumped in the back of a black SUV was captioned, "Mood when dad says no and stepmom's still mad." A TikTok edit layered his departure over The Apprentice firing sequence, complete with Donald Trump's voice booming, "You're fired." Within hours, hashtags like hashtag Harold the Hapless and hashtag Clarence House Clapback trended worldwide. And the timing couldn't have been worse. For Harry, every attempt at a polished narrative was instantly demolished by memes, GIFs, and viral punchlines.
Harry wants guarantees that his privacy will be protected. I don't know about that. I mean, kind of maybe implying that, you know, Charles would be doing the leaking. I think that if anyone is leaking to the media and betraying...
Harry had barely cleared Clarence's house before stepping into an Invictus Games reception, forced to grin for photographers as if nothing had happened. The contrast was impossible to ignore. 1 minute, a scolded son slumped in a car. The next, a polished spokesperson beaming on cue. Fans online stitched the two images side by side, joking that not even Photoshop could smooth out that transition. Media critics piled on. A Telegraph columnist quipped that if this counted as reconciliation, it lasted less than the average tea steeping. Celebrity watchers drew comparisons to royal frostiness past, Princess Diana's icy encounters with Charles in the 90s, Sarah Ferguson's infamous cold shoulders. By framing Harry's 20-minute audience as part of a historical pattern, commentators hinted this wasn't just about a family spat. It was another act in the long-running drama of Windsor estrangements. But the sharper tension came from speculation about Meghan's reaction. Online, fans imagined her pacing their Montecito mansion, phone in hand, grilling Harry the second he walked out. Did you ask about security? Did he apologize? Did Camilla say anything? One parody tweet nailed the mood. Meghan to Harry, you had one job. 1. The ridicule cut deeper than cruelty. It chipped at the Sussexes' brand as an unshakable united front. Instead, Harry looked like a husband rehearsing excuses for bad news he couldn't spin. And through it all, Clarence's house stayed silent. No statements, no rebuttals, just photos of Charles moving smoothly through his schedule, business as usual. Insiders suggested the silence was calculated, a quiet strategy to let Harry twist while public opinion sharpened against him. Charles had survived decades of brutal headlines. Harry? He was learning the hard way what it feels like when the meme cycle turns, and you're the punchline.
The third thing, and I think this might be the hardest pill to swallow for the royal family, Harry wants full royal treatment for himself and Meghan.
No.
Curtsies, bows, HRH.
No.
The pressure cooker was always going to blow, and insiders knew it. With Harry, history has taught us one thing. When the palace door closes, the leaks open. And the question wasn't if the narrative would break, but who would control it first? The palace? Or the Sussex PR machine? And then it began. Almost before the teapots cooled, the spin arrived. Glossy US outlets rushed out glowing exclusives. Charles welcomes Harry warmly, speaks of healing and fresh beginnings. But British commentators were quick to slam the brakes. Do the math. The whole meeting was 20 minutes. Half of that security checks and pleasantries. How much reconciliation really fits between a sip of lukewarm Earl Grey and a polite handshake? Not much. Behind the carefully packaged headlines, whispers told a harsher truth. This wasn't about hugs. It was about money, titles, security. Reports swirled that Harry floated requests for financial help, desperate to offset millions in spiraling legal fees. Others speculated he pressed for clarity on Archie and Lilibet's royal titles, a sore point ever since their names were added to the official website. One tabloid put it brutally. Harry walked in with a shopping list and walked out with an empty bag. And then came the twist that lit up the internet. Camilla. Multiple outlets, including The Times, suggested she was there. Not dominating the room, not speaking, but present. A quiet observer. A witness. The same woman Harry labeled dangerous and spare, accused of trading stories to the press. Now calmly sipping tea while he tried to negotiate with her husband. Imagine the humiliation. Fans online had a field day. Memes flooded TikTok. Side-by-side photos of Camilla smirking with captions like judge, jury, and queen consort. One viral tweet read, Harry walked into Clarence's house looking for mercy and found himself in Camilla's courtroom. The internet doesn't forgive, and it definitely doesn't forget. The exit photos told their own story. Harry's jaw clenched so tight analysts said it looked like he was chewing glass. His eyes downcast, the infamous rain-streaked car window sealing the narrative. Not reconciliation, not healing, but rejection. Meanwhile, Charles? Hours later, he was photographed smiling, relaxed, unbothered, shaking hands with the public. The contrast was surgical, and that's where the palace strategy shines. Because this wasn't just optics, it was leverage. With Camilla as a witness, Clarence's house had insurance. If Harry leaked his version later, they could simply shrug it off as spin. And by refusing to issue statements, Charles forced Harry into a corner. Any sympathetic friends of the Sussexes speaking to the press would reek of desperation. The internet smelled blood. One TikTok dubbed the tea the Venmo Summit, mocking the idea of Harry begging for cash. Another stitched footage from The Wolf of Wall Street, DiCaprio groveling for money, with the caption, Harry leaving Clarence's house 2025. Twitter lit up with hashtag Harold the Hapless, crowning him a prince not of power, but of pity. And Hollywood noticed too. Industry insiders whispered Netflix executives were cringing. After all, Harry and Meghan's brand was built on access, the idea that viewers get inside royal secrets. But if their reality is just a slammed door and 20 awkward minutes, how many docuseries can you squeeze out of rejection? One Variety insider scoffed, Season 3, denied by Dad. Even sympathetic outlets struggled to spin it. Vanity Fair admitted the brevity of the meeting looked more like a brush-off than a breakthrough. A Telegraph columnist skewered it with one line. If this was reconciliation, it lasted less than the time it takes to steep the tea. And through it all, Clarence House stayed silent. No denials, no clarifications, just images of Charles continuing his schedule with calm dignity. It's the old palace playbook. Never explain, never complain. Outlast the storm. Let Harry trip over his own leaks. For Harry, the timing couldn't have been worse. His legal costs climbed into the millions. Spotify gone. Netflix renewals are shaky. Meghan's lifestyle ventures are struggling to match their early hype. And now even his father is unwilling to entertain him for more than a cup of tea. For Meghan, the stakes were equally brutal. Any PR spin she attempted would clash with the cold, unedited reality people already saw. The clenched jaw, the storm cloud exit, the silent car ride. And that's the danger. When a photo becomes a meme, and a meme becomes cultural shorthand, reputations don't wobble, they calcify. Harry, once framed as the brave son breaking free of palace frost, was being branded as something harsher. A man out of moves, a husband begging for concessions, a son denied by his own father. The Clarence House tea wasn't just another awkward reunion. It was a strategic checkmate. Charles had Camilla as a witness. No concessions were given, and the meeting ended before the biscuits got cold. The palace walked away with silence and control. Harry walked away with nothing but internet mockery. And here's the twist, the fallout isn't over. Critics are already predicting the Sussex playbook. Give it a week, then cue the sympathetic leaks. Tearful quotes in People magazine. Carefully timed paparazzi shots. Netflix-ready talking points about fresh starts. But the palace has played this game before. By staying silent, they make every Sussex leak look staged, desperate, and hollow. Meanwhile, fans are ruthless. TikToks compare Harry to Kendall Roy in Succession, begging his father for validation and getting denied. Twitter threads crown him the Love Island contestant dumped in week 1. You can feel the cultural permanence setting in. This isn't just awkward tea. It's the cementing of a new narrative. Harry, the man who can't win. And that's why this moment matters. Because if Harry can't secure a win at Clarence House, where can he? If a 20-minute tea with his own father ends in memes, what happens the next time the cameras roll? This wasn't just tea. It was a turning point. And it leaves us with one final irony. Harry and Meghan left the monarchy to write their own story. But in 20 brutal minutes at Clarence House, the palace proved it still holds the pen. So like this video if you enjoyed the breakdown, subscribe so you don't miss the next twist, and stay tuned. Because if Clarence House slammed the door, Montecito is about to try and pry it back open. And when they do, the Real battle begins.